Hello, hello. Welcome in, everybody. So good. So, the reason I wanted to get on and do this live stream reading is because over the previous several days, couple of days, Spirit's been coming through. Spirit's been talking to me pretty actively recently. And recently, Spirit has been telling me, the highest Spirit has been telling me, and the spirits around me have been letting me know that there's a lot of change about to come in pretty swiftly. There's a swift gift. It's like there's swiftness coming through. Oh my goodness. And my cat just started going crazy. I don't know if you can hear that over there, but yeah, and he's talking. It's so good. So there's about to be a lot of swift changes. Swift changes, things coming in swiftly. There's patience being offered to us in the swift changes. But feel like still in regard to that, I feel like I need to sit in a collective energy with it. So let's talk about some of the sort of swift things, swift changes. What do we need to know? Especially if it's especially if it's going to be something that is swifter energy can sometimes be a little bit more difficult to deal with. So that's part of the reason I wanted to get on and get a good reading of everything is because I just want to make sure that yes, I just want to make sure that we have a good foundation. We have a good jump off point. Things that we need, grounding what we need, grounding, surrounding. Also surround sound. There's a reading, and the sirens just started. Thank you. There's a reading I did recently about the surround sound of the mothers. Like things are gonna ground, and it's gonna be surround sound. And recently, surround sound, like everything around us, the vibration of it. The vibration of it is going to be surround sound. It reminds me of like a gong or a cymbal or like an instrument where you would like hit a chord or hit a note and it's like really loud at the beginning, but then like it reverberates. It takes some time to kind of like go off. Imagine that for like a couple days or a couple weeks. It's like there's like a large like ring in and then everything like reverberates for a while. So something that we need grounding. We need it. It's something that is necessary. Also, we're not going to be so alone or in the oneness. It's going to be more about our collective directives, something about protective collective. Protective collective. How do the collectives protect you? This is something actually that I've been thinking about over the previous. This has to do with Pluto being in Aquarius and the exchanges that we're having to look at it from an astrological viewpoint. Pluto and Aquarius is about our collectives. It's about bringing people together. How do we bring people together? Why are we bringing people together? Do we trust the people we're bringing together? What are the exchanges when we bring people together? What's the purpose of us being? There's so many questions, okay? Pluto and Aquarius is about us coming together, though. So with that, it's like we need each other. And that's one of the things, interestingly enough, there's some bigger transits that are happening this year. We're not going to get too into that. I'm putting out a special episode on the podcast soon about the first portion of 2025's astrology. So if you're interested in that, the blog and the podcast, you want to check those out. That's a space to check out, to look on. But in regard to kind of like we're going to need each other, Spirit has been telling me over like recently, I don't know if I can give a time frame for it, but just to be like, it takes everybody. It takes everybody. It takes the practitioners you don't like. It takes the practitioners you disagree with. It takes everybody. It takes all of it. It takes every single one of us. And thank goodness it takes every single one of us. You feed the spirits and the spirits feed people around you. I feed the spirits. They feed people around me. The other people around me feed the spirits. That's going to feed me too. So then I'm going to keep feeding the spirits. It's a circle. It's a cycle. It goes together, So in that, also welcome back in that feeling the energy for the collective. Yeah, also hi. For the collective. So in the collective directive, the other one I want to bring up with this is that Uranus and Gemini this year, which allow me a moment, that changes July 7th. Uranus moves into Gemini, associated with the Salem witch trials. We also have Pluto in Aquarius associated with large system changes. I will leave it at that. And then we have Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries, ushering in a new spiritual collective order. A lot of different ways that can be interpreted. On a loose level, though, that's kind of what we're moving in. We're going to need each other. We're going to need each other. I don't know what it is. I was just talking about a ripple effect earlier. How interesting. For those of you who can't see it on TikTok, there's a notice of a ripple effect on YouTube. Interesting. I was just talking about that earlier. We're going to need each other. Okay. We're going to need each other. We're going to need the people around us. We're going to need the collectives around us to protect us. We're going to need to protect the collectives. And by doing that, there's also accountability and responsibility. Also, being in collectives means that you can't get picked off one at a time. Being in collective means you can't get picked off one at a time. If you got people standing guard around you and you're one of the guards too, it's a lot more difficult to have a force or a group of people, even an individual, come up and pick you off one at a time. So collectives, collective, protective, collective. How are you protecting the collectives? How are the collectives protecting you? What are the collective protective energies around you? Something to maybe look at for yourself. I'm going to pick this up. We're going to keep moving and a grooving. And I feel the swiftness recently over the previous 2 months. It's been a lot of grounding, and then surround it, ground it, surround it, ground it, understand it, ground it, open hand it, ground it, surround it. But recently it's like, okay, you got to pick up again. Okay, you got to get up again. Okay, you got to get into the air again. You got to pick it up, get it up. So I can feel the shift in the energy too. Interesting. What else do we need to see? What else do we need to see? What else do we need to know? What else do we need to understand? Mothers in the hand. Mothers in the hand. Every time that you offer your hand to someone, you offer them your land. Every single time. Every single time you offer your hand to somebody, you offer them your land. You help them stand. Every single time that you offer your hand to somebody, you help them understand. You help them to land. You help them. You give them a helping hand. Every single time that you offer them a hand, it could be a hand that's kind. It could be a hand that's gentle. It could be a hand that's loving. It could be a hand that's parental. It could be a hand that understands itself. It could be a hand that's innocent. Okay. Every time you offer a hand, what kind of hand are you offering? And understand that that is how it helps the other person stand. So mothers in the hand, the mothers also, it reminds me of mothers moving our hands and the mothers coming through our hands, the mothers allowing us to revere certain works in our hands, the working of the hand and the working of the land, the offerings of the hand to the land. Interesting. That's one of the things I do. I've written on the blog about this a long time ago. It was probably about a year and a half ago. I'm not exactly sure the time frame, but how the offering of the hand to the land, something because of the indigenous spirits of this earth, is really, really important that we offer and give back to the land. It's really, 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 especially dependent upon where you come from ancestrally, it's very important to give reverence and gratitude and offer that hand to the land where you sit, talk, walk, and stand. And to the indigenous spirits of the land, where it is you sit, talk, walk, and stand. That's true. So with the mothers of the land, the mothers in the land, both are true. When you offer your hand to the land, you're also helping the land to stand. Grateful for that. Grateful for you if that is work that you do. And it is true. Offer your hand to the land. When you offer your hand to the land will help you to stand. It's a reciprocity. It's reciprocal. It's reciprocal. It's reciprocal. So the mothers in the hands, the mothers in the lands, mothers in the hands, the mothers in the lands. What else do we need to understand about the mothers in the hands, the mothers in the lands? The realms, something else about the realms, swift gifts, shifts. What do we need to see? Spiritual realm work, spiritual realm work coming to ground with the mother's help. Interesting. Spiritual realm work coming to ground. Because if you think about how many different practices there are in the world, there are so many different realms that exist in the spirit. There's realms of different gods. There's realms of different time work. There's realms of different ancestries. There's realms of different plants and trees. There's so many different realms. I have an uncountable amount. Okay. There are an uncountable amount. You could not count them even if you wanted to. It is an uncountable amount of realms in the world, in our spiritual practice. And so in the process of the open handing, the mothers in the hand, helping ourselves to stand on the land and helping the land to stand. That's true. This reminds me also of the protecting of the land. Thank you. I don't know if you heard that, but the cat said meow. Yes. That is true. Thank you. Something is a brew. Spirit, what do you got to do? Okay. Let me just bring it through. The grounding of that. It reminds me of the land protectors and the protecting of the land. It's what I see is a group of people being no, this is where we stand. No, this is where we stand. So taking a stand for something. I don't know exactly what that means or how it would fit into your interpersonal communities. That was the other thing that came up in the reading I did just before I got on the live stream, because I was looking at some personal stuff and I was we need to look at this collectively. So one of the things that came up is interpersonal shifts. Interpersonal being like the interpersonal, being able to exchange with other people, and the interpersonal shifts between people. There's going to be changes and shifts within that. Interesting. Let me pick these up. We're going to keep moving and a grooving. What else do we need to see about this? My goodness. My goodness. My goodness. Hello to you too. So good. Thanks. We have victory, unseen victory. It's not unseen victory that it's like it hasn't. Victory, arriving, victory, driving. Driving and arriving are two different things. You got to drive to arrive. So if there's a drive in the victory, it hasn't arrived yet, which means we still have some time to make some decisions. What I see is like if you're on the road, when are you going to make a pit stop? When are you going to fill up the gas tank? When are you going to, take care of different things? There's a when you gonna do what? There's some decisions that need to be made still, and indecisions still needing to be made. That means that we still have time to decide how we're going to arrive at the victory. So we haven't yet made it there. I don't know why I need to put quotes around that. We haven't yet made it there, but we haven't yet made it there. We haven't yet made it there. A victory that has not been decided upon. It feels like there's going to be some people who kind of, it's like what I see is like a golden light coming down and being like, oh, I get it now. Golden light coming down, being like, oh, I get it now. There's the victory. Okay, I get it. Oh, I get it now. Oh, I get it now. There's the victory. The roots, root magic, root work, ancestral work, root magic, root work, ancestral work. Those three. Root magic, root work, ancestral work. Root magic, root work, ancestral work. Root magic, root work, ancestral work. Root magic, that feels like a chant. Root magic, root work, ancestral work. Root magic, root work, ancestral work. Root magic, root work, ancestral work. Anytime if you're a gardener, if you're digging in the dirt, anytime that you would be moving the earth, to move the earth, interesting. To move the earth, that means moving the physical. We do that every day. Root magic, root work, ancestral work. Root magic, root work, ancestral work. Rooting. The victory needs roots. Where is your victory rooted in? Where's your victory rooted in? How have you rooted this victory? It's also like a cheering, like a root. Cheering. How have you rooted this victory? Also, the cheering. I hear from, what is this? What's that movie? Hold on. Let me find it. The Hunger Games. What part of the movie is that? Hold on. It's when there's like a, it's like a hoorah, hoorah, hoorah. I don't remember what part of the movie that's from. Hoorah, hoorah. But it's a part of that movie. I think it's when they're in District 13. I'm fairly certain that President Coin makes an announcement and then there's like a hoorah shouting in the middle of it. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty certain that that's true. So it's like, what have you been cheering for? What have you been rooting for? Because one of the other things, and I said this earlier today, and I'm going to say it again right now because it feels important too. Everything in that sort of structure is personal. Every time that you would go against another person or go against a practice or go against a spirit, it's always something personal, even if it doesn't look like it. It's always personal. So something about being rooted, your victory, what is it rooted in? What's your victory rooted in? How did you decide to root your victory on the earth? How did you decide to root your victory on the earth? A cycle coming to an end. You can't see how it's going to end yet. You don't know yet. But it's going to be there. A consecration true. Interesting. A consecration true. A cycle coming through. A victory for you. Let it be. I agree. Let it see. I agree. Let it be. I agree. How beautiful, honestly. You see him? That's crazy. On the other side, actually. He's over here. You guys can't see him. On YouTube, you can see him. My cat is going all over the place. You know what? I realized recently that cat, he's on duty. You know how there's like emotional support animals? He's a spiritual support animal. Thank you. I love you. Yeah. Yeah, meow. You want to come say hi? You're going to keep over there. Yeah, you could come say hi if you want to. Come on then. You can? Yeah? You want to? No? Okay. Sometimes he likes to get in the camera, sometimes he doesn't, but he's really going. You can see him over on the YouTube screen. You can't see him on the TikTok screen. He's going wild. He's going wild. He's going crazy. He does that sometimes whenever I'm working like high energy stuff though. So you know what? It makes sense. It makes sense. He's great. He's great. And he didn't get like that until literally right when I got on to do this reading. So, receive that how it needs to be received. Oh, he is having fun today. He's a good one. You know what? He's a good one. A birth, let it come through. Okay. Oh my goodness. My cats have been tapped in. Yeah, he's tapped in too. I don't know. Hold on. Let me move this. You can't see him from that side. Never mind. It's like on the stairs. He's over there on the stairs. Okay. So let's stay with it then. A birth, a ride, a birth ride. It reminds me of a birthright also. A birthright that has been written and now can arrive through a birth, with birth, in birth. Interesting. And you know what else? Do I need to share that story right now? Why do I need to share that story right now? I'm going to share that story right now. So, do I need actually hold on, let me sit with it. No, I will not share that story right now, although interesting. Not to conceal it, there's a way to reveal it without revealing everything. So where I live, I'll start with that. Where I live, the vultures are around. Okay, the vultures. For whatever reason, this is important. I told this story. This is the second time I'm telling the story today. I don't know why it's important for this collective reading, but we're gonna figure it out together. So some kind of victory. So where I live, the vultures. The vultures are around. They're flying around, and where I go to get into like the nature and the physical activity, they fly around there too. The vultures do. So they fly around. They're always flying over because listen, I'm always in the spirit. I'm always working, walking, talking. I'm revering, I'm moving, I'm clearing, I'm bringing in the new. I'm doing what I need to do constantly. Okay. Just like I tell you to do at the end of the videos, do what you need to do. Keep up your brew. Yes. Every day I do. So even when I work out and I'm out in nature. So when I work out, go out in nature, when the birds fly over, it's like the messages coming through. There's things I got to do, things I need to revere, things I need to hear, things sometimes I need to clear. So recently, as I've been going out in nature, the vultures have been flying over me. And there's been 3 different times now where I've gone out to the park that's near my apartment and revere it. I revere it. One of the times there was a vulture that came in and landed on this tower. Where I live, there's like not a lot of tall buildings, but there's like a couple of them from this park area. So it landed on this tower as this building. I call it a tower because it's a taller building. Okay. It's not like a skyscraper, but it's pretty tall. It landed on top of it. And I was like, And every time recently that I've been seeing the vultures specifically interacting with the city landscape, I just keep feeling like that's sacred. Obviously, it's sacred. Hello. Yes. But it's just like this reminder of like, that is something sacred. That's something sacred happening. And I need to revere that. So I've been feeling that recently. So this vulture comes in, lands on the top of this tower. Okay. So that's probably like a week and a half ago. Then between that week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and a couple days ago, I think was it yesterday? No, 2 days ago, a couple days ago. Yeah. There's been 2 other times where the vultures have been flying over in circles around that tower. Happened once and it was very clear like something important is going on here. Happened another time and it was even more of them. There was more of them sitting on the tower. There was more of them over the tower. And interesting. And I just had deja vu. So I will clock that how I need to. Curious. I revere it. What you need me to hear about it. So then I go 2 days ago and I was almost back to my place and I was like, wait a minute, I need to keep driving. I want to keep driving. Let me keep driving. For whatever reason, I need to keep driving. So I did because the park I go to is near my place. So I was driving. I was like, I want to go see the vultures. I want to listen to my music. I want to drive. I want to go see the vultures. I want to go revere the vultures. So I did. I kept driving, revered the vultures. And when I was driving, the pathway, the route that I had to take, curious words, the route that I had to take was not by mistake. Okay. It was a very interesting route. I get to the main path of one of the main roads where I live, and I look up to the tower because I didn't know what the tower was. I didn't know what the tower was until recently, 2 days ago. So I get up to the tower and I see the vultures flying around it again. So that's the 4th time within like 2 weeks. They're flying around it again, flying around it, landing on it, getting up, flying around it. And I look at it and I realize how important that building is to our structure of America. I realized how important that building is to our structure of America. Interesting. So I was like, interesting, interesting, interesting. I revered it. I revered it. Gave my gratitude to the vultures, to the spirits of the sky up high. Thank you for allowing the birds to fly. And I kept my drive going and I made it back to my apartment. Okay. Love that. Gorgeous. Beautiful. Thank you for your work, the spirits that are true. Yes. So this birth that's coming through, continuing with the cards that came through, this birth that is coming through, it's not just a birth for me and you. This is a birth ride, a birth ride, a birth ride, a birth ride. The ride of a birth ride. It's like, it reminds me of like what I see as like the final moments of a labor, the final like hour of a delivery. It's like in the final hour also. Isn't that, where does that come from? In the final hour. It's like at the very, very end of something, in the final hour. It's like we're in the final hour. And it's like it reminds me also of just like this sacred ending, a sacred ending. A sacred, I suppose too, the vultures, what do? You know, they eat what is gone. That's true. A sacred ending, a sacred ending. They feed on death. Interesting. I'm grateful for the understanding of this. So this birth ride, it's like the final hour. It's time to decide also. Time to decide the ride, because if we're about to pick up and go on a new ride, if we're about to pick up and go in a new direction, and something that came through in another reading recently is that we're entering a new, no, it wasn't a reading. It was in the podcast. I'm pretty sure that's true. I don't remember when or what episode it was, but one of the messages that came through is that we're in a new era of magic. Like this is a new, Pluto in Aquarius is a new era of magic. The old era of magic is through. We're entering a new era of magic. Pluto in Pisces is probably going to be a completely different era of magic as well. So like we have this about 18 years era of magic. Okay. So what's the ride going to be like this time? What ride are we going on? A birth ride. Because now it's like, if there's a birth happening, that means we have responsibilities. We have labor deliveries. You know, what part in that birth are you? How are you a part of the birth? We're birthing a new ride. What did you decide? How have you decided? What did you decide? Interesting. In the birth ride. The birth ride. And I keep hearing also like it's a birth ride and it's like a birthright. The birthright is in the shadow. It's like, what was your birthright? What were you born to do? Curious. What were you born to do? Because no one can take that away from you. No one can take that away from you. No one can take it away from you, what you were born to do. No one can take it away from you. Sometimes we feel like we're meant to do something. We are supposed to do something. Come to find out and realize, oh, that wasn't actually my purpose and my calling, but I still feel this path here. I still feel this purpose here. Nobody can take that away from you. Nobody can take your gifts away from you. Nobody can take that away from you. If you're born to do something, that's your birthright. You might have to earn the seat of power to be able to do that. You might have to earn the skills. You know, like a baby isn't going to be able to do all the stuff that somebody who's older is going to be able to do. That's just how life is. So we do have to earn. That's something I've been thinking about with birthrights a lot recently. Birthrights, even though we're born into them, still have to be earned. Even if it's a birthright, you still have to earn it. You still have to earn it. Think about if there is a king that ascended to the throne but had not had any training. Is he going to be able to keep that seat of power? Probably not. Probably not. So probably not. Probably not. Probably not. Probably not. And since it's a birthright, if he's not able to keep that seat of power, it might cost him his, you know what? His entire, yes. I mean, I put too much stress on that, but birthrights are a very serious thing. So like if you're born to do something, you know, revere it as a seriousness. We're on a new ride in it now. We're on a new ride in it now. Have you decided what part of that birthright you're going to pick up? Have you decided how you're going to work in it, who you're going to become because of it? Because it really gets time to ride. I don't know how to emphasize. How do I want to explain that portion? We are live on the internet. How do I explain that? Hold on. Before I get too deep into my words. We are entering it is this year, 2026 and 2027, there's going to be a lot of spiritual changes. Societally, there's going to be a lot of spiritual changes. Collectively, a lot of spiritual changes. Okay, systems, institutions, lots of spiritual changes. Do I know what they're going to be? No, they could be negative. They could be positive. In my opinion, luck is a neutral thing. So revere that in your practice. in your space, discern for you how that is true. And if it is valid, we're about to go through a lot of spiritual changes. Saturn and Neptune ushering in new spiritual order that picks us up out of a situation that we've been in that is just horrible, treacherous, and we get to leave. But the journey of that picking up and leaving is usually pretty like rough. It's kind of a rough journey. You have to be tough to be able to make that journey. That's part of Aries. You have to be able to be tough to make it through that journey of getting to the next place and the next space. And then once you get there, you have to give reverence to the journey that has been and give back to the structures and give back to the spirits, give back to the gods. So that with Saturn moving in and Neptune again. And then we're going into Uranus and Gemini, which for those of you who haven't been in the space for the whole entire reading, I'm going to bring it back up, is associated with the witch trials. And then we have Pluto in Aquarius, which is associated with bringing in another evolution. What will we call that? A re-evolution, to evolve again. To evolve again in another evolution. It's another circle. It's another cycle. It's another cycle, to take away kind of the scaries of that. Okay. The scaries, we don't need the scaries of it, but it's a re-evolution, to re-evolve, to evolve into something else. It's not a problem to solve. It's not a problem to solve. It's just change. It's just change, the evolution of something, the changing of something. And it's happening again, which means that maybe we're in the same cycle. Maybe we finished off some cycles. Maybe we're entering a similar cycle, but things are a little bit different. It really just depends on how we work with the energy, because it is like Pluto being in Aquarius. Pluto is about the will and our decisions, and Aquarius is our social groups and spaces. So how in our collectives are we making really large decisions or small decisions, however that works for you. One of the things my spirits say to me is every decision is a big decision. So discern for yourself. That's something I need to hear on a personal level pretty occasionally, often. Occasionally, I need to hear that just to be reminded, like, sometimes the big stuff isn't as serious as you would make it. And sometimes the small stuff is a little bit more serious than maybe you would think. So a different perspective, but interesting. A different directive, also a different perspective, a different directive. Interesting. It's the luck is a neutral. It. Yeah, for real though. Interesting. I need to rest. Water, and then let us go through. Oh my goodness. This is not what I was expecting for this reading. I didn't really know what to expect, but here we are. Swift changes, swift rearranges. A course is already set. A course is already set? A course is already set. That's like, I want to ask a question, but it's like, you can't ask. That's just true. That's just what it is. A course is already set. Something smells different. Interesting. A course is already set. A course is already set. My nose today. You know how people have like clairvoyant gifts and it's like different senses. Sometimes people can hear stuff. Sometimes people can feel stuff. My nose today has been smelling different smells, and I haven't had that one. I haven't had that gift, the smell gift, come up in a while. Today, I've had a lot of different smells come through my nose. It's been very different. It's been very different, yeah, interesting. So, of course, okay, so let's return to that. A course is already set. Not a thorn. Not a thorn. A course is already set. Sometimes, you know what? That's one of the things. Me too. My post smells everything right now. I saw something move behind you earlier. Valid. There is a door open back here. I have my window open. So it is what it is. It is how it is, Interesting. A course is already set. Nothing to regret. That's what I was saying. One of the things I've been realizing recently is that as a fate weaver, okay, and I revere fate. Thank you, fate. Sometimes we reach a point in time where we just it has to happen. It has to happen. Sometimes it's just time now. Sometimes it's just time now. Sometimes it's just time. 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 It's like finally all of these moving pieces, moving parts, moving points finally come to this position where it's just a moment of, there's a predisposition that has acquired a final position. And because of that final position, there's a choice that has to be made. I kind of like that movement. There's a choice that has to be made. A concealment, a concealment, a concealment, to conceal that, a concealment. Sometimes things just have to be done. Sometimes things just have to be done. Sometimes it's just time. And if it's just time, my goodness, what is it you're really asking me to work through right now? What is it you're really asking me to sit with? If it's just time. No, that's true. Let me light some new incense. The incense were done. Let me light some new ones. Let me light some new ones. Literally, the moment that the incense stopped. Understood. Understood. Interesting. I'm also pretty sure I can't show fire on the screens here. So allow me a moment to make sure that we have what we need, you know? Okay. Thanks for the patience and the reverence too. That's true. That's true. So good. Wow. A course is set. There we go. We're not quite there yet. What I see is like, you know, when you walk up a big tower to get onto a slip and slide. You know, when you walk up a big tower to get into a slip and slide, or not a slip and slide, but like a big water slide. You ever been to a water park and you have to like climb a structure to be able to get to the slide part? What I see is we have had to climb a structure. That's kind of Pluto and Capricorn energy. We've climbed this structure. We've done the work to climb the structure. Now we're at the top of somewhere. And the course doesn't necessarily land us down in a pool, but there is a course because of where we are starting. It's like we climbed a structure to get to a very specific water slide on an individual level, on a collective level, on however you might interpret that. We've climbed a certain hierarchy to make it to a starting point. And now that we have that starting point, there's a course in front of us. Like we've decided on the course and now we get to kind of move through it. It also kind of reminds me of a snowboarding, like people who professionally snowboard and it's like they do the tricks. It reminds me of that. Like it's the same course, but every person goes down that course differently and does different tricks and does different moves. So it's like the course is set. We're not there yet. But how we move through it is going to decide your path, even though the course is like similar, maybe the same for other people. Interesting. And not a thorn. Something about this also that needs to come through. Not a thorn, a birth. Okay, birth. Okay, birth. Love you, birth. Love you, birth. That's the second time it's come up. Birth. Okay, birth. Not a thorn, a birth. A birth, a blossom, a bloom. A birth, a blossom, a bloom. Something to be revealed soon. And, I don't know when this was announced through my work either, but it was recently. I think it was in one of the readings I did recently, or it was one of the previous podcast episodes. To be honest, I don't remember the origin, but it was somewhere in the work that I put out on the internet in recent videos. It was talking about the full moon in Cancer. I know it was in the previous podcast, but there was an origin point before that in another space. That full moon in Cancer on the 13th is going to be the revealing of the end of this story. The revealing of the end of the story. The revealing of the end of the story. The revealing of the end. The revealing of the end. The revealing of the end. Yes, the revealing of the end. And in my experience, when the baby is delivered, that's the moment that the maiden becomes the mother. That's like the defining moment of birth. There's labor and labor and labor and labor, and the delivery is the moment of the like birthing. That was a loud clap, but okay, understood. Loud surround sound. You got the mothers coming through. Okay, I revere you. Thank you. So there's the labor and the labor, and then there's the delivery. The delivery, the moment of that deliverance, also deliverance, maybe needing to be delivered from something. Could be the birth of you into something new. Could be something that you're working on birthing for yourself. It could be something in your life that you're working on creating or birthing, a labor. The birthing energy has been around in my work on the internet for about a year. I want to say it's about a year now. Definitely since pre-eclipses of 2024 fall time. So what would that have been? Probably like July or August. I want to give like a check mark point there. So around that time is spiritually when this work started to kind of come through the collective spaces for the work that I do. So if there's anything around that time that you either started or picked up, or maybe there was like a urge to get up and start doing something, or I don't know what that would look like for you, but that's around the time period where it started coming through for me. Definitely through those eclipses, and then for sure through October. I don't know about your October, but I know about my October. That October was a while. That October was an October for the books. That October was also not for looks. That was a very, very, very consolidated, conservative, private October. That was an October I will probably remember for a while. October. So a walktober, walking through it, October. Not a lot of talkative October. It was a walktober. I suppose that's true. So, okay, October, I revere you. Interesting. Any work that you were called to do. You know what? I just wrote about this on the blog, actually. How curious. I'm not going to talk about it on these platforms. Okay, there's some stuff I can talk about on the blog that is a little bit more, it's a little bit more over there. It's less, the guidelines over there are not as strict. The guidelines over there are not as strict. So I have a little bit more room to talk about things that are a little bit more. So if you're interested in that, I'm not going to bring it into this space just for safety in regard to the platforms and their guidelines. And I revere that. Rules are rules for a reason. It is what it is. But if you're interested in that, it's one of the more recent blogs. You'll be able to pick it out and be like, oh, there it is. That makes sense. So in reverence to that, there's some callings that have been put on me since around that time of October to get up and get some things done. We got some work coming through in 2025, 2026, 2027 that might not always be so fun, but it needs to get done. It's like serious work that needs to get done. And I feel that so sternly right now. So it's like so sternly on me. Some work is not supposed to be fun, but it needs to get done. Some work is not supposed to be fun, but it needs to get done. And you know what? I have learned if you get up and you do the work that is not fun and you can work through it and you can fight through it, you can move through it, you can glue through it sometimes, okay? You can ward through it, all right? You can call through it, you can move through it, you can usher through it. However you got to groove through it, if you get up and you do it, then it will eventually lead to some form of protection in the future. That's at least how my callings work for me. If I'm called to do it, you better believe I'm getting my behind up to go do whatever it is that the spirits have asked me to do. I've learned that's what I need. If I'm called to something, I'm getting up. I'm not trying to tell them no, not anymore. Not anymore. Unless I'm not sure about it. And then I need the space to discern. And me and the spirits have worked through that portion of my relationship with them. But the rules are rules for a reason. The Capricorn energy. I know. Sometimes the rules gotta be broken. And also rules are rules for a reason. So both of them, they go together. So the sternness of the work, especially with like the people I've been working with, the kind of practitioner is the words that are coming to my mind, the kind of practitioner that I've been kind of sitting with or that's been around me for the previous probably like year and a half ish, about 2 years, year and a half. No, it's been about a year and a half. That the kind of practitioner that has been in the area of the work that I put out on the internet or like in the sessions that I've offered to people. It's been people who are more more fresher or newer, maybe not completely beginner, because there's a lot of people I've been working with who have a lot of life experience and are coming to spirituality more seriously for the first time. So it's like bringing that human experience into a spiritual perspective or a spiritual space or a practice of spirituality that is specifically spiritual and not necessarily like only like a human thing. It's like the spiritual development of it. And so that's part of the reason I feel like the sharing of like if I'm called to something, I'm getting up and doing it, because on a human level, on a human level, I gotta remind myself of this sometimes. I'm a little crazy, all right? I love being crazy. Crazy for me is something that I revere. I regard and love crazy here. Love you, the spirit of crazy and the being of crazy. Grateful for you. And also, sometimes within that crazy energy, other people don't get it. Sometimes other people don't understand. Oh, I was called by the spirits. What do you mean you were called? What do you mean you were called by the spirits? Why would you not just like go, do the stuff that you're supposed to do on like a societal level or a human level? Like, why are you not doing what's expected of you there? Because the spirits expect something of me. Because the spirits expect something of me. And the spirits have put a call on me. The spirits expect something of me and have put a call on me. I need to sit with that and revere that. It doesn't matter what it looks like on a worldly plane or a worldly perspective. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes if I'm called to sit in something, if I'm called to work in something, I'm going to sit in it and I'm going to work in it and I'm going to be the one who gets called crazy. And I'm all right with that. 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 Let me sit and revere it then. Let me sit and revere it then. What do you need me to sit in and be called to? I revere it then. I'll be the crazy one. I'll be the crazy one. I'll be the crazy one. You need me to be the crazy one? I'll be the crazy one. 100%, basically every single time. Unless they ask me to step into a different kind of crazy that is not for me. That's different. That's different. And that's where discernment on a personal level comes through. Because sometimes, oh my goodness. Why do I need to talk about this right now? I'm not sure, but I'm going to talk about it. Sometimes, in my experience, sometimes I've been called into things where, like, I knew that I shouldn't have been doing it. I knew that I wasn't supposed to do it, but I did it anyways. Sometimes the tricksters will put callings on you just to see if you're going to do it, just to see if are you really going to go through it? Are you really going to be the crazy one? Oh, tricksters. Oh, tricksters. And a lot of the times too, if you're really working in the energy that you need to, even when you get tricked, you're going to get what you need out of being tricked. That's a part of it. So reverence to that. Reverence to that. A birth. Don't let it fall flat. The earth is round. So let it ground. The earth is round. Interesting. Is there anything else? I feel like we need to look at the fate deck. Hold on. Yes, I feel like we need to look at the fate deck. What do we need to know about the fate weavings? The fate weavings. I get tested often lately. And you know what? I've been feeling that over the previous months, but the test that I've been in, it's like I didn't even realize it was a test, and then I passed it, and then it's like this moment of like, oh, that really was a test, and I am handling things differently this time. Okay, thank you. I haven't had one of those in a moment or in a while, but I understand that. Sometimes necessary and needed. The Fool and the High Priestess, interesting. Interesting. Oh, how curious. Oh, how interesting. Oh, how mysterious. That's pretty cool. It's more than cool. That's pretty serious, actually. Let me not make too many jokes about it. That's a really serious energy. The Fool and the High Priestess. Also, it's interesting to me because the Fool in this deck has a 1 on it, or like a line on it. I don't know if you can see that. It has like the 1 line on it, but it's the 0. It's the 0 card, the Fool. And then the High Priestess is card number 2. So we have this new beginning, the High Priestess. I know for me on a personal level, my priestesshood has just very recently been consecrated and finalized, a permanent responsibility. So I on a personal level, for me, here, I revere that. And also with Pluto being out of Capricorn and the way that Saturn and Neptune are moving through Pisces, which I guess Neptune ruled right now. True. There's a lot of people who are bringing to close an initiatory experience, or bringing to close a chapter of their practice, or bringing to close a naming, or bringing to close something, a birthright energy that has been earned spiritually. There's a closing of that right now. And there's that closing or closure will be happening for the next several years while people are close. It's like, collective things happen in waves sometimes. So it's like one thing happens and then another group of people goes through it, another group of people goes through it. And that's just what it is occasionally. The ripple effect. Didn't we say that earlier? Yeah, the ripple effect. So good. So good. Thank you for that reverence. Yes, so good. So that is, how do I say this? It's like the closing. And I've been making videos about this for like a year now. For like a year now. Not very often, but every once in a while. Every once in a while. For like a year now, and we don't just get prepared for nothing. Interesting. Let's pull some more cards. We don't just get prepared for nothing. The spirits don't just ask you to sit in a position for nothing. Don't waste my time like that. So the spirits aren't going to ask you to sit and revere a position of your own power for nothing. They're not going to ask you to do that. Let's look. Let's have a look. Hold on. Ace of Coins, a grounding on the earth, a singular birth of earth. A grounding on the earth, a grounding on the earth, a singular birth. A grounding on the earth, a singular birth, prosperity coming through. If you feel like, okay, so this is going to be a little bit more specific within the niche or collective of like energies. If you feel like you are currently in the process of closing out a position for yourself within the spirit, again, like I said just a second ago, like an initiatory experience, or you're closing out a chapter within your spiritual practices, there's some sort of like, it could be possible finalization, or you understand that you're in the middle of a transition and you're ending a chapter, even if you're not at the total end yet, you're not at the complete end yet, but you're in the middle of it somewhere and you're able to close out a chapter while you're still walking in it. That's also going to be applicable. So for that sort of group of people, that's where this is going. A grounding on the earth, it's a birth. A grounding on the earth, it's a birth. It's an offering. It's a blossom. It's a bloom. Something you've been making room for. If you're looking at your life and going like, I've been doing this recently, actually. If you've been looking at your life and being like, where's the more? Like I've been cleaning more, and like there's more space around me, there's more time around me, and like I can see the clearing happening. It's like I'm obviously preparing. There's preparation work I've been in. Okay. Where have you been clearing and making room? It's like a nesting process, right? So where have you been nesting? What's the nesting look like also? It could be things that you're bringing in, because then we have prosperity coming in. Prosperity to prosper. It is to prosper. I also heard the lobster to prosper. The lobster, the mantis shrimp. What is that called? The mantis ray shrimp. What I'm thinking, is it called the mantis ray shrimp? Let me look it up. Hold on. Let me double check, because there's a mantis ray shrimp. Manta ray shrimp? Is it the manta ray shrimp? Yeah. They have like 16 cones in their eyes. You know how many cones we have? 3. You know how many colors we can see? Look at the world. That's crazy. They have 16 cones in their eyes. So it's like a prosperity that you've not ever been able to see before. A prosperity that you haven't ever been able to see before. Something that even hasn't been possible because of your natural circumstances, but it's coming through for you. I love that. And then the 10 of coins grounding too. Oh my goodness. The gifts of abundance about to rain through if you've been doing what you need to do and keeping up your brew continuously on through. Especially, it is. Oh my goodness. The gifts of prosperity grounding, the gifts of prosperity surrounding. My goodness. There's a lot for that. There's a lot in that. There's a lot. It's like, revere the fact that you're about to be lifted and gifted. That's Saturn and Neptune and Aries. People who are, and I said this, I haven't put this episode, the special episode of the podcast, I haven't put it out yet. It's coming out sometime this week. It's about the first half of 2025 in our astrology. So when I talk a little bit about Saturn and Neptune in there is why I bring it up. Saturn and Neptune, when we are asked to get up, February is a time where we're asked to get up. Let's go over that for a second. February is a time where we're asked to get up, 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 get up. And what I felt when I was making that episode is like there's a mother energy. It's like the mothers around us. It's like you got it comes into the room. You're still kind of like hanging out, sleeping, doing whatever, and the mom's like, get up now. We got stuff to do. You're still in bed. Like get dressed and get ready. We have half an hour. We're leaving. But it's not like the mom's not really upset. She's just like, we gotta go, dude. What are you doing? We gotta go, kid. We get dressed right now. We're leaving right now. Because the mom has a schedule that's packed full. Mom's got to go to this place and this place and this place and this place, and bringing you with for a reason, bringing you with for a gift, because part of what I was seeing in that February, March, kind of April also a little bit in there too. It's part of that space is like, if you've been doing the work that you need to do on a spiritual level, and you know that's true because only you really can know the work that you need to do, even if that work is seeing another practitioner or working with other people, it still is like your own discernment, so if you and your own learnment and your own earnment to earn it, that's true. So working in that, if you've been doing that, then the mothers come February are like, okay, get up, because there's some places mothers got to go here, 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 and here. But there's a place here and a place here and possibly one over here too, where they're going there just for you. It's like stuff you ask for, stuff you want to do, places you want to be, places you want to see, gifts to arrive. It reminds me, and this is one of the things I put in that episode too, the special episode that hasn't come out yet. It reminds me of like somebody moving into a dorm and the mom is like, okay, well, we got to go to the store. We got to get you sheets. We got to get you food. We got to get you a broom. We have to fill your room with the stuff that you asked for. We got to do that for you. So like, we got to go to the store and like, I've got to get some stuff done too while we're there. So like, we might as well just do it all in the same, outing. So that's the energy that I'm getting for like February to April. There's a reason yes, because the spiritual practitioners with Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries, let's take it back for a second. With Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries, they've been in Pisces. That's what I mean by take it back. They've been in Pisces. Neptune has been in Pisces for like 11 years. Saturn's been in Pisces since March of 2023. So we're coming up on 2 years with that one. It'll go back into Pisces at the end of this year too. But, in regards to that, just what it does, what Saturn does, that's true. And they've been in Pisces now together for a while. Saturn is the dad, Neptune is the son. And what I feel from this is like, we're in the house of spirituality being asked to get it together. You might not know why you need to get it together. Okay. But we're being asked to get it together, be clever, get it together, really be on it. Really be on it. Really be on it. Really be on it. Are you on it? Are you on it? Are you on it? Be on it. If you're on it, you're on it. Be on it. Because when Saturn and Neptune move into Aries, you're going to realize, oh, you're asking me to be on it over here because we are leaving now. We are leaving now. We're being picked up and moved on to something different. We are leaving now. We are leaving now. We are leaving now. And one of the things I've said about that kind of movement or transition is the spiritual practitioners in the coming several years are going to have some kind of upper hand. It's going to be some kind of like, doesn't matter what you practice. If you're in the spirit practicing, you're going to have some form of something that you need that other people may not, who do not sit in a spiritual practice or practice in a spiritual way, may not have. And that's also in regard to humanness is spiritual practice. People who sit in humanness and practice humanness, that is also a spiritual practice, even if they may not necessarily call it a spiritual practice. There's a lot of people I've met in the world actually who they don't call themselves spiritual practitioners or spiritual workers, but they're sitting in the spirit as what I would call it, in my practice and in my space, I would call it that, but they don't call it that in their space. So in reverence to even those sorts of people who are practicing what they're practicing without really regarding it or revering it in the spirit, that's a different kind of humbleness, to be honest with you. That's a different kind of humble. That's a different kind of groundedness. I'm grateful for people like that. I really, really am. I know I'm a little different because here I am on the internet making these videos and doing all this work for me, for you, for us. It's true. And also there are people like that in the world. And it's always very interesting to come across them and to meet them in life. And I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for people who practice in such a regard. It's very true. It's very true. So that's it. I think keep up the work you need to do. That's where I'm going to close it. That's where we're going to bring it into the reading. That's what I feel. What time is it also? That makes sense. I got to go get ready. I got to leave. So that's what it is. Speaking of getting up. Interesting. Thanks everybody for being here. There's going to be a replay for people who are on TikTok. There's going to be a replay up on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Beautiful. So if you're interested in that, it's going to be over there. Yes. And everything else I offer, the podcast, what else? The books, the Norse Magick book today. Interesting. We're going to leave that be actually, but the Norse Magick book, the runes. I'm working on a new book. Don't know when it's going to come out. Not ready to announce the name of it yet, but there's another book I'm working on currently. And then both my Book of Spells 1, Book of Spells 2. Gorgeous. Love that. Beautiful. They're lovely. They're lovely, lovely gifts. And that's it. I'm pretty sure. Is there anything else? I do have a send me a book portion of my website. If you're interested in that, send me a book. I've had a couple people send me books. Thanks so much. If you're in the room and you're one of those people, thank you for sending me the books. I've been reading them. They're so good. Oh my gosh. It's going to take me a while to read through. They're like big books that I got sent. So I'm really grateful for that. I'm really, 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 really grateful for that. Thank you. So grateful for that. Oh! So good. The podcast, if you're interested in that, I send it out weekly. There's special episodes coming out soon. I send out updates when they go live, so that's going to be on the blog. And then once my sessions wrap up towards the end of January, I'm back driving in the content creation more so just so everybody's on a clear picture and page of where we're at. And if we don't know what's happening with TikTok, if you want to join me on my other platforms, then that's what it is. Thanks so much. Oh, gratitude to you. Gratitude to you. May there be elevation and love if and when you need it. That's true. And I'll talk to you soon.